Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. If you're prepping for part 1 of the CMA exam, you already know that cost management can feel like a massive hurdle. But as a professor who's helped countless candidates tackle this exact material, I really want to reframe how we look at it. Cost management isn't just about crunching numbers or blindly slashing budgets, it's fundamentally about business strategy. So today we're going to completely demystify a core concept within business process improvement that the ICMA absolutely loves to test. It's called value chain analysis. My goal here is simple. I want to help you see the strategic matrix behind the math so you can walk into that testing center with absolute confidence.
Here is our agenda for today. First, the big picture. Second, primary versus support activities. Third, choosing your strategic path. Fourth, a CMA exam walkthrough. And finally, number 5, keys to exam success.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the big picture, beyond the jargon.
Okay, so what exactly is value chain analysis? At its absolute core, it's really just a way to look at a business as a series of connected, sequential steps. These steps take raw, basic materials and transform them into something a customer is actually excited to open their wallet and pay for. Now, our goal as CMAs is to act as strategic detectives in this process. We need to figure out exactly where in this chain we're adding massive value and where we're just piling on unnecessary costs. If a specific step doesn't make the end product better or more appealing to the consumer, well, that's a prime target for optimization.
Moving on to Section 2, primary versus support activities, the front line and the backup. This framework was originally introduced by the legendary Michael Porter, and it divides a company's actions into 2 very distinct, manageable categories. First up, we have the primary activities. You can think of these as your frontline troops. They are directly involved in creating the product, getting it into the customer's hands, and supporting it after the sale. There are 5 of these, and for the exam, it is absolutely crucial that you know them in strict chronological order. Step 1 is inbound logistics. That means receiving, storing, and distributing your raw materials. Think warehousing. Step 2 is operations. This is the actual manufacturing or transformation process where you turn those inputs into outputs. Step 3 is outbound logistics, which is getting the finished box-up product out to the customer or to your distributors. Step 4 is marketing and sales. This is pricing, advertising, and giving your customers a truly compelling reason to buy. And finally, Step 5 is service. That covers post-purchase customer support, doing repairs, and honoring warranties.
But listen, the front line can't possibly win the war without some serious backup. And that is exactly where our support activities come into play. These are the background processes running simultaneously to sustain those primary activities. First, we have procurement. This is how we buy things, like negotiating contracts for our raw materials. Then there's technology development. Think IT, R&D, and equipment design that actually improves the product. Next up is human resource management, which is all about hiring, training, and retaining the very best talent. And finally, firm infrastructure. This covers overall management, legal, accounting, and finance functions. Now, I want you to pay special attention to firm infrastructure. Why? Because this is where we live. As CMAs, our strategic financial planning operates right here within the firm's infrastructure, supporting the entire value chain.
So the most crucial takeaway here is this simple equation. Margin equals adding value plus controlling costs. When you execute these primary and support steps efficiently, when you successfully add value across the board while keeping your expenses strictly under control, you generate margin. And margin, of course, is just another word for profit. The larger the gap between the value you create and the cost it took to create it, the greater your competitive advantage in the market.
Let's look at Section 3, choosing your strategic path, how to compete.
When you're taking the CMA exam, you are frequently going to be asked how a company uses value chain analysis to actually compete in the real world. Generally speaking, businesses take one of 2 distinct strategic paths. Path number 1 is cost leadership. The value chain goal here is to ruthlessly strip out non-value-added costs so you can be the absolute cheapest provider out there. A great example of this would be automating your operations to drastically reduce labor costs. Think of a generic, store-brand grocery item. Path number 2 is differentiation. Here, the goal is to beef up very specific activities to create a unique, premium product. An example action would be investing heavily in service or R&D so you really stand out from the crowd. Think of a company designing a sleek, ultra-premium smartphone.
This brilliantly illustrates your primary job as a CMA in this context. You have to look at the chain and separate the value-added activities from the non-value-added activities. A value-added activity is something the customer genuinely cares about and will gladly pay a premium for. For instance, if you're a premium chocolate maker, sourcing incredibly high-quality ingredients during your operations phase adds immense value. The customer tastes it, and they love it. On the flip side, what if you're storing excess inventory for 6 months because of terrible forecasting and poor planning? That adds cost, not value. The customer literally does not care about your storage fees. That is a non-value added bottleneck, and it's our job to find it and ruthlessly eliminate it.
All right, time for Section 4, CMA Exam Walkthrough, the Test Run. I want you to tackle this exactly like we are sitting in the testing center together right now. Here is a classic sample CMA question. A manufacturing company wants to improve its competitive position by implementing value chain analysis. Which of the following activities would be classified as a primary activity? Your options are A, negotiating a long-term supply contract for steel, B, upgrading the factory's inventory management software, C, shipping finished goods to regional distribution centers, or D, conducting a training seminar for new assembly line workers. Take a quick second to lock in your answer. Okay, let's systematically eliminate the distractors using the framework we just learned together. Option A talks about negotiating a contract. That's a purchasing strategy, which falls strictly under procurement. That's a support activity. Option B involves upgrading software. We know that is technology development, another support activity. Option D is a training seminar for workers. That is textbook human resource management, so again, a support activity. Now look really closely at C, shipping finished goods to regional distribution centers. This describes the physical distribution of the final completed product right out to the customer. That is the exact definition of outbound logistics, which is one of our frontline primary activities. So C is our triumphant correct answer. See how straightforward that is when you deductively categorize them?
Let's bring it all home with Section 5, Keys to Exam Success, the final wrap-up.
When you sit down for the exam and inevitably see a question on value chain analysis, I want you to immediately recall these 3 critical takeaways. 1. Primary activities physically create, sell, and service the product. They are the physical front line. 2. Support activities provide the infrastructure, the management, and the background strength that makes the front line possible. And 3. The ultimate goal of this entire framework is to optimize these processes to increase customer value and maximize your profit margin. Oh, and here is a quick professor's tip for you. Make absolutely sure you can clearly distinguish between procurement, which is the support activity of negotiating how we buy, and inbound logistics, which is the primary activity of physically receiving and storing those goods. Keep those straight, and you're going to capture every point available.
You've absolutely got this. But look, I don't want you to memorize this just to pass a test. I want you to start thinking like a true CMA right now. So I'm going to leave you with this question. Look closely at your own company's value chain today. Look at the very processes you interact with. Where are the hidden bottlenecks in your organization that are merely adding cost instead of driving actual tangible value for your customer? Find those, and you've just found your next big strategic win. Keep studying smart and keep pushing forward.